We are getting an exclusive first look at a new investigation into Amazon and Jeff Bezos, premiering tomorrow on Frontline. Take a look.
Rachel Greer worked in product safety at Amazon and worried that the site was being flooded with untested and potentially unsafe products.
Are there proper warnings? Has it been safety tested for durability? If a child chews on it, will the paint come off? Is that paint leaded?
Most people would assume that there is a pretty high safety standard on Amazon.
And that assumption would be incorrect.
She says that's because Amazon, like other tech companies, takes the position that it's not legally responsible if its customers are harmed by products sold by third parties on the site.
If someone buys something that causes harm at Walmart or at Target, a consumer can sue Walmart or Target.
Right, because no one's forcing you when you come into Walmart to enter the doors of Walmart. They aren't making you sign away your rights.
But when do you sign that? When you go on Amazon.com?
When you make your account. You accept the terms and conditions.
Filmmaker James JACOBY is with me now. And James, we just watched that clip from your documentary about product safety on Amazon. I want to play Amazon's response for you.
What I can say is we work really hard to make sure that they're safe. We've spent $400 million in the last year on systems that seek out things that are not safe. And, you know, there are millions of sellers and hundreds of millions of products. And our job is to, as fast as we can, weed out the ones that don't belong on our site.
All right, so you spoke with both of them. You got two very different stories there. What do you make of that response?
I mean, I think that's Jeff Wilke. He's the CEO of Amazon. He's number 2 to Jeff Bezos, basically, and he's saying what he's saying is truthful. They spend a huge amount of money trying to weed out bad things on the site. Clearly, at the end of the day, though, they don't take responsibility legally if someone is hurt by a product that has been sold by a third party. And it bears mentioning that about 60% of the sales on Amazon.com are from third-party sellers that are selling to us on the site, and it's not necessarily clear to someone who's uninitiated that it's a third party you're buying it from.
Yeah, some of these things can be a little bit difficult to figure out when you're kind of going through and looking at all the lists and where things are coming from, who's selling, what's happening. Part of the problem, you think, there?
Well, yeah. I mean, Jeff Wilke would say, no, it's clearly marked. There's a place where it says you'll know if you're buying it from Amazon directly or you're buying it from a third party. I've been a long-time Amazon user. I honestly had no clue about that for the longest time. And I think that it's just bears mentioning to the viewers and everybody else out there that you should probably check.
All right, I want to play another clip. You spoke with Shel Kaplan, who helped Jeff Bezos build Amazon 25 years ago. Let's play that.
And when you look at what Amazon has grown into today, you see what?
Well, you know, you don't want to see your offspring become antisocial adults, right? So I think not all of the effects of the company on the world are for the best. And you know, I wish it weren't so, and but I had something to do with bringing it into existence, so it's partly on me.
I love the way he describes that there. What struck you most about what he had to say?
A lot. I mean, it was really interesting speaking to Shel. We spoke to him near the end of reporting this, and we worked on it for about a year. And he was reluctant to speak at first. He's somebody who was in the garage with Jeff Bezos, built this thing from scratch. Jeff has said on numerous occasions that Amazon would not exist without Shel, and he's really heartfelt with his concerns about what the company's become, and I found it really surprising. I'm glad he spoke out. He's speaking his mind here, and is expressing very real concerns about not only the company's behavior, but how large it's become.
You said you spent over a year reporting on this story.
Yeah.
We just showed some very small snippets. What was your biggest takeaway? What were the biggest things that you learned over the course of that year?
Just the reach. We you know, a lot of us, you know, buy things on Amazon. It's become the big main online marketplace.
Sure.
But Amazon Web Services is cloud computing. It's about a third of the world's cloud computing. PBS, my network, is housed on Amazon Web Services. Its reach with the Alexa devices, its reach is just tremendous, and they're incredibly competent in what they do. But we felt like they deserved a closer look, and I think that it's going to be illuminating for a lot of people.
The documentary airs tomorrow?
It does.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming to talk about us. It was so nice to meet you.
Great to meet you.
NBC News reached out to Amazon for comment on Frontline's documentary. The company declined to comment ahead of the film's release. Fast and loose, not exactly how you would describe chess, but the game is going through a reinvention online. Alexandra Botez is a full-time chess streamer who gives us an inside look at the game's new culture.
Okay, we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the short stream today. Test. Slight delay, like 0.25 seconds. Okay, let me fix it. I started streaming online because one of my friends was a chess streamer, and he asked if I wanted to do some collaborations, and I thought it would.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.